Hello and welcome back. My name is Alana and today we're going to talk about my most anticipated releases for 2022. There will be 10 books on this list with 2 added extras because they have not yet been entirely confirmed, but I'm very pumped for them, so I'm including that here as well. And also, this will probably not be a comprehensive list because even though I have my little avenues to stay clued in, I just know that there will still be books this year that release that I just had no idea about, but I'm super hyped for. But these are the main ones that I could find that I was getting excited about. Here we go. Releasing in February is I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetsi. I have read one other book by her and that was The Fountain of Silence, which I absolutely adored, but I have not yet read anything else by her. And I know that I've said in the past that I really want to amend that, and I still do, so maybe this new release will encourage me to do so. So it says, trapped by an evil dictatorship, will Kristen be forced to betray his family or will he risk everything he loves to resist? A powerful YA thriller inspired by real events from this award-winning author. That's one thing that I do love about this author, is that she pulls from history, but the history that kind of gets overlooked or that has not had a lot written on it, she makes it important and relevant as it should be, and I just love that she takes the care and the time to find other points in history, for example, other than just World War II stories or things like that. So this one is closely based on the real events of the Romanian Revolution of 1989. So I'm very excited to see what the author does with this story. Next up in March we have Gallant by V. Schwab. Now this one I actually have already read. I got a sneaky early copy through Edelweiss and I loved it so much. I really loved it. This is a standalone contemporary soft fantasy portal magic thing, and it is Schwab's signature style of delving into life, death, the line between that blurs, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to have this released into the world so that other people can enjoy it as well, and so that I can grab a copy to have on my shelf and to reread, because I do want to reread it from the ARC copy to the finished copy. I also did a spoiler-free reading vlog for this one, so keep an eye out for that in March. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad that I recorded my reactions for it. Next up we have an April/May release, and that is Bravely by Maggie Stiefvater. Maggie Stiefvater is a very big auto-buy author for me. Even though I haven't loved everything by her, I still really like what she does, and this is actually her pairing up with Disney, which I'm not 100% on how I feel about that, but this is about Merida after the events of the Brave movie. That's all I want to know going into it. It's just us getting more Merida, which I really did love the movie Brave, so I'm excited about that. I just never know how much the author has control of the story when a big corporation like Disney or Marvel or DC or whatever is asking them to write it. But still super keen for this. This is, of course, classified as young adult, I'm fairly sure, because Brave, Disney, all of that. Then we have a couple in June, the first one being Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. This is the sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers, which I absolutely adored when I read it in 2021. This is middle grade fantasy. Sci-fi fantasy, and I'm just all sorts of excited to have this sequel to one of my most favorite books of 2021. I'll be sure to leave that favorites list up above and down below for you if you want to hear more about why I enjoyed the first book, but I am super pumped for this one. The other pick I have from June is Horse by Geraldine Brooks. She is one of my authors that I adore for any sort of historical fiction based book. Her books do usually start out a little bit slow for me, but then when I'm in it and it's gripped me, they are just an emotional roller coaster, and I really adored some of her other works like People of the Book, The Year of Wonder, and what was the other one? The Secret Chord. Just from the description of this book as well, it looks like we're following a couple of different timelines. Kentucky in 1850, New York City in 1954, and Washington DC in 2019. It says that this enthralling novel is a gripping reckoning with the legacy of enslavement and racism within America. Horse is the latest masterpiece from a writer with a prestigious talent for bringing the past to life. So we're following multiple different points of view. It looks like some horse racing comes into this one as well, and obviously big topics like racism and slavery and such. So very, very interested to see how the author brings this story to life. Next up in June, we have a couple of thriller picks. So the first one is The Family Remains by Lisa Jewell. This one has been pitched as the sequel to The Family Upstairs, which was the first ever Lisa Jewell book that I did read, and I had a really great experience with it. It's one of my favorites by her. So I'm keen to see what she does with a sequel to that one, because it did leave off on a tiny little bit of note there at the end, and I think that's where the story will pick up in this one. Be interesting to see. She writes really easy, bingeable thrillers that focus around like a family dynamic and how it is twisted or not always what it seems. And then the second one in July is Lying Beside You by Michael Robotham. This one will be the third book in the Cyrus Haven little crime series that he's got going on, and again, Good Girl, Bad Girl was the first one in this series and also the first book that I read from this author, and I like the psychological aspect to it. I also like the semi-fantasy realism element of a girl that can tell when you're lying to her. I want to see if that gets fleshed out more, because otherwise this series is very centered within the real world, but there was that tiny mystical element which I really loved the inclusion of, and I did read the sequel in 2021 and really liked that as well. So let's see what Cyrus Haven and Evie get up to in this one. Then in August we have The Wild by Kyle Perry. Again, another Australian crime author that I discovered within 2021, I want to say. I think I read both of his books last year. If not, it was very close, but I enjoyed both of them. This author writes really interesting crime novels that explore the other side as well. So he has protagonists that are part of the drug game. In some of his books, he has protagonists that, you know, just show that it's not so black and white. This one, I'm not even sure if there is a cover available yet, because I did just find it on a random list somewhere that it was kind of like, hey, this will be coming out by Penguin somewhere soon. Hopefully within the year. So this one might get pushed. I'm not sure. COVID does a lot of weird things with release dates at the moment, but one to keep an eye out on for sure. So the next one is a September release, and that is The One That Got Away by Sophie Gonzalez. We all know that I love her on this channel by now, and this is very highly anticipated by me. This one looks like, again, a teen fiction one, and the little blurb that we get from Goodreads just says, bisexual 18-year-old Maya dumped her cheating ex Geordie 2 years ago in good riddance, but when Geordie's sister marries the crown prince of a small European country and he shoots to fame, reality show producers approach her to appear on a Bachelor meets Second Chance romance show along with all his other exes. That's all I need to know about it so far. I'm keen. I'm very, very keen. Battery change, so apologies if it's a little bit different. And then in November we have confirmed another Mistborn novel by Brandon Sanderson. This one is called The Lost Medal, and I'm excited for this one, and I'm also happy about it because I need to finish Mistborn, the first trilogy, and I feel like obviously I can't read this one yet, being The Lost Medal, because I'm not there yet, but this should encourage me to keep on going, because I do really, really love the series. It's just a time thing, because these books are very, very thick. So hopefully this will encourage me to keep on going and just read more Brandon Sanderson in 2022. That's the main goal of mine, because I really do love his stories. So those were my top 10 most anticipated, and now let's have those two little honorable mentions. So after a little bit of Googling, I saw that Samantha Shannon has teased for 2022 that she should have her Priory related project maybe happening for us this year. Maybe. If you haven't yet heard of Samantha Shannon, she's the author of these books behind me. She has written Priory of the Orange Tree and then the Bone season series up until book 4 at the moment. It's a 7-book planned series, and The Priory of the Orange Tree was a standalone project, except for now she's adding into it here and there, which I'm excited for because I'm fairly sure you can still read these books as standalones because that's kind of how they were written. Priory of the Orange Tree is an epic high fantasy story involving water dragons and shifting political climates between different nations, and it's sapphic, it is magical. You follow a few different protagonists as well, so you get a different look into a few different places within the world. So it could be expanded for sure, because it's this huge world. So little stories here and there, I am all for. Excited. And then the last one is probably one that's going to show up on a few people's lists, or you might have already seen on social media people blowing up about it, and that is the Persephone retelling from Madeline Miller. We don't have a cover, we don't have a title, we just have this little post from the author herself, which got shared a lot by the people that I follow on my book Instagram account, and I saw it and I screamed, and I'm also very excited like the masses are. I have loved this author's other 2 books, The Song of Achilles and Circe, and if she just writes Greek retellings, I am here for it. I love her work so very much. Very, very keen, and I just know that the internet will blow up when we get a cover for this and a release date. So I'm also excited, is what I'm trying to say. I'm part of the mass. I'm part of the giant crowd of excited people of this one. So there you have it. Those are my anticipated releases for 2022. I'm very excited for these, especially the fact that there's a whole range of different genres throughout this list. There's some thriller, there's some crime, there is some historical fiction, fantasy, teen, middle grade. It's just all sorts of exciting, and you'll probably see me talking more about these books when they do come out and I've read them, hopefully. I'm also making this video to hold myself accountable because these are 12 books. I can handle reading the majority of these because I did finish 80 odd books in 2021, so I have the capacity to read all of these. Let's just see if it happens. Let's see if I hold to this list. But that's going to be all for today, so let me know in the comments down below your most anticipated book of 2022, and I will see you in another one. Bye!